Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here, I'm back with Luis and Isaiah, and they've been writing back and forth. Like I told you, Isaiah, he's doing time in Folsom for vehicular homicide plus car thefts, things of that nature, you know. And he was doing other things too, but those are the main things that he was doing. But he got locked up, and his son and his mom, they've been, you know, on their own, doing it, making it work, you know. And Isaiah, you know, he has a counselor at school, and he showed one of the letters to the counselor, and the counselor, you know, let him know that, you know, this is not weakness, this is strength. You're able to confront this head on like a man. Now you got to ask the hard questions, and he did that. He told his father that he didn't need perfect, he needed real. And see, Montrez and Boo, they did the same thing to me. They wanted to know the real, because I'm going to tell you something else. See, in a lot of situations like that, I know with Montrez and Boo both, their mother used to say all the time, "You just like your daddy." Now, she might be saying it in anger or whatever the case may be, right? But they wore that as a badge of honor because they were matching it up. You got to keep in mind they had a child's mind. They're hearing these things about me in the streets, which, listen to me, when you got people out there spreading stories about your reputation and your name, and your kids hear it, and then couple that with their mother, somebody in their family saying you just like your daddy, they'll merge those two, and then they'll start to act like that. Okay? And that's kind of like what happened to my sons. They were doing that. But see, it was a little different for Isaiah. Isaiah didn't want that. He didn't want to be like his father because he was hurting so much. He wanted to know why. And he's going to find out why. Because check this out. Luis wrote him back. This is what he said to him, okay? Now y'all check this out. This is what he said. "Mijo, you want real? You got it. I chose that life because I was scared. Scared I wasn't enough. Scared of being, excuse me, scared of being broke, of feeling powerless. I thought being a provider meant bringing in money, no matter how. I told myself I was doing it for you. But if I'm being honest, I was doing it so I didn't feel like a failure. But I did fail. And your silence all these years, I earned that. Now I'm working on being a man who faces his mistakes, not just with words, but with change. Ask me anything, mijo. No more lies. With truth, Luis." Now see, I know a lot of y'all, listen to me, this is going to be eye-opening, right? This is one of those, you know what I'm saying, eye-opening moments, right? A lot of people don't want to hear this stuff about, I felt powerless, I felt like a failure, I felt weak, I understood the providers, the ones supposed to bring in money, this, and that, right? Don't dismiss that. Don't dismiss that. Because before you actually go out and commit a crime, before you go out and do any wrong or express any bad behavior, it's psychological. You have to start to contemplate in your mind that you belong in that space. And if you're starting to think that you are a failure because maybe the job that you want is not the one that you can get right now, and you don't want to work two jobs, so in place of that, because you'll say it's just money, I'm going to go over here and sell some drugs, I'm going to go over here and steal some cars, I'm going to go over here and rob somebody of what they've worked hard for. You're not thinking about what it's going to do if you don't make it. You're not thinking about what it's going to do if you do get away with that, and one day your son finds out or your daughter finds out what it was that you were doing and how it has an impression upon how they see themselves, wanting to emulate you. So when you hear somebody like me, when you hear somebody that's in prison or has been working on themselves and they say, I felt powerless, what we're doing, we're putting a name to what it was that we were feeling like. that led to the behavior. So when somebody said, well, why did you do it? And that could be a whole host of different crimes. At the heart of the matter, we were scared. We were scared to face who we thought we were. And in a twisted way, I thought that acting out in this way would alleviate how I felt about myself as a result of not being able to do A, B, or C. And that's it. And I know that don't make a lot of sense to some people. I know that don't. But see, when you start to work on yourself and they'll say, well, you know, we got this thing called a strong R. And when you go in there, look here, I really just don't like doing them, but I do them anyway. Because going in, you got to sit down and they want to go over your crime and they want details. They want you to explain what you were thinking, how you were feeling. And every single time I do it, I cry. I cry. And I try my best not to. But when I'm honest and I'm examining what it is and they make me go over and over and over again on what it is I've done, then they'll get to say, why did you do that? And now I'm at a point where I can answer that question. I could tell you why I did it. I felt weak. I felt scared. I was not measuring up. And it wasn't because somebody else made me do this or made me do that. Did what somebody else say have an impact and influence my mindset some kind of way? Yes. That was because my mind was open up to that. It was open to it. And it made me feel weak. And then somehow or another, I thought that if I would do this, I wouldn't feel this way. If I could help pay this bill, if I could bring in some money and do this and do that, I wouldn't feel this way. And that's what Luis is talking about. That's what he's talking about. Learning to alleviate that pain with an immature mind is usually going to lead to some type of negative behavior. Drugs are not going to make what you feel and how you feel about yourself go away. Alcohol is not going to do it. Having sex with multiple partners is not going to do it. Robbing people, stealing people, hurting people, none of that is going to help you feel whole again. None of that. What's going to help you feel whole? I know for me, what's going to help you feel whole is facing it. But then you say, Josie, how you going to face something like that? Once you come into the know of it, right, you can't face it by yourself. I couldn't. Now, if you can write a book about it, I'm telling you, you're going to get rich. I'm telling you now. But I couldn't face it by myself. No. But I also initially couldn't tell my family either. So I leaned on Yahshua. Yeah. I took it to him. And I took my lead from him. And that's what helped me. And I can't say what'll help you, but I know that helped me. And it, over time, gave me the strength to forgive myself and to take accountability for what I've done as best I can under the circumstances, you see. See, when you're in here, you get caught up in this mindset of accountability is staying out of trouble, doing your job and all this and that. I say it's way more than that. Because you can do those things without accepting accountability. That's why I say it's more than that. I could have a clean institutional record. I can go to work every day. I can do what my supervisors tell me and all this and that. But I could still not be taking accountability for what put me in prison. You see? So Those things alone won't do it. But you got to take into account the situation that you're in. So I've taken those classes. I've done the things that I'm able to do under the circumstances. And bigger than that, more important than that, it's the show. That's why you hear me always speaking out about this and that and that and this. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. I feel empowered by this new sense of freedom, this new sense of accountability, holding myself responsible. So I have no problem saying the things that I need to say in the moment for the situation, whatever it may be. And that's where Luis is at. Whatever his son got for him, he ready for it. He ready for it. So when somebody tells you that they were scared and they were afraid and they were this and they were that, and that's why they did what they did, listen to them and dig down on that. Tell them to be more specific. And they'll be able to tell you. When they did this, it was because they felt inadequate and they thought they had to do it or these people wouldn't accept them or this, that, or a third. You feel me? Dig down on it. But be patient. Because you're going to have to hug them a lot and get some toilet paper ready because they're going to be boo-hooing. I'm telling you now. Nose running and everything. For real. Tell them to stop, blow your nose, get that over with, and then let's keep it moving. You feel what I'm saying? Well, let me share with you what Isaiah said back to Luis. Luis, that last letter hit different. You didn't dodge. You didn't sugarcoat. You just told the truth. I still don't know what kind of future we got. I'm not ready to visit, not yet. Woo, that's hard there, y'all. But I'll keep writing. You said I don't owe you a relationship, and you're right. But maybe we can build something new from scratch. And maybe someday, I'll call you dad again. For now, just keep being honest. Isaiah. Man, look here. You know, before I do these shows, I prep, I read, you know what I'm saying, so I know what's coming and all this and that, right? Look, read this before, teared up then, just read it to you then, teared up again. Because that is what work looks like. That hard, grinded out, you know what I'm saying, understanding of what it takes to build a relationship. Understanding what it means to not get what you want, but do what you need to do anyway. Do it because it's the right thing to do. And Luis is taking the right steps, and Isaiah, he's responsive to it. But it's going to take time, because when you hurt somebody, when you break somebody, listen to me, when you break somebody, it's years before they can be repaired, because they have to discover the pain, the source of the pain, and then they have to work on why it was able to have such an impact on them. That's just fact. That's just fact. Now, man, that's hard. Now this one, you know what I'm saying? Hey, it's hard. But this is what rejection turning into reconciliation looks like. But only because truth was in it. Truth, we'll put it like this, truth had the mic in that show. Put it that way. Luis messed up, no question about that. You know what I mean? But he left his son behind chasing street validation. Couldn't find it there. Couldn't find it there. And when Isaiah needed his father, all he got was silence and struggle. That's the kind of rejection that, you know what I'm saying, a person will get when you're not there. Silence and struggle. You don't want that for yours. But Luis, when he was asked, he didn't come at him fake. He didn't do that. He didn't come with no slick apologies. He didn't do that. He came with ownership, y'all. He owned it. And that ownership pushed that door, nudged it a little bit, put that crack in that door. And Isaiah, man, he had every right to shut it, push it right back closed. But something about the real, the truth, you know what I'm saying? Him being able to share, I'm talking about Luis being able to share that he was broken, a scared man that made bad choices, and it was because of those fears that he had. That's what was driving those choices. That gave him the space to breathe again, being able to admit that. And sometimes we think rejection is final, but the truth, rejection can be a detour, not a dead end, if and only if the person on the other side shows up different. Luis showed up different. And that's what you got to do. That's what I did with Montrez and Boo. All I can say is this. This group of letters reminded me of a lot of things. And these letters can remind you of every broken bridge that you have. It's not beyond repair, but you better come correct if you're trying to rebuild it. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.